Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'm going to be talking about what just happened in the DC All In Special #1. This is a new book from DC Comics. Let's talk about the creative teams before we get into it. So, if you checked out my other video about how to get into this and how to read the All In Special, you'll know that we have actually two different stories that kind of meet in the middle. We have the Alpha story, that's by Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder, with art by Daniel St. Pierre. We have Dan Mora also jumping in a few pages, Alejandro Sanchez on colors, Tamara Van Villen coloring Dan Mora's stuff, and Steve Wands on letters. So this issue, I'm going to start with the Alpha issue. This takes place 52 days later. The number 52, of course, recurring. It takes 52 days later after the events of Absolute Power #4, which I have another video which you can check out on the channel about what happened in this event. Make sure to go check that out. So yeah, it's really, really fun. We get a bit of a, if you didn't read any of that stuff and you haven't been reading DC Comics for like the past 2 years, this is actually a great issue to check out. You get a really cool recap in some of these pages, right? You get to see they touch on all the events that happened with the Night Terrors, the Lazarus Reign, the loss of the Titans, the death of the Justice League. So much happened. The Beast World, and then of course the Brainiac attack, House of Brainiac, and Absolute Power. But in this issue, the Justice League is passing out. They're handing out little Justice League cards. Now, I forgot to ask my shop for mine, but if you go to your comic shop and you purchase DC All In Special #1, if your shop still has them available, you should be able to get a little Justice League card, which is a really fun collectible. So these cards are for members of the Justice League, and they are going to be used to really keep in touch, enhance their powers, team up. It's going to handle all the logistical stuff, right? So the Justice League has a really big reunion to welcome all their new members. You can see here just gigantic gathering of superheroes, which is really cool. I love seeing pages like this where they're just enormous. The issue focuses a lot on Booster Gold because he's going to end up being very, very important, of course, to the story. I did mention that we're going to get a Justice League Unlimited book by Dan Mora and Mark Waid. So you can see a little advertisement for that in the book. And then a lot of the other books will come back into their normal stories. But here comes the big thing. Just when the Justice League thinks that things are being a little bit better, who shows up? None other than Darkseid. But this is no ordinary Darkseid. This Darkseid has merged with the Spectre. That's right, the Spectre. He's the vengeance of God. I think he's God's vengeance. I'm thinking one of them is the right hand of God, and I think he's the spirit of vengeance is the Spectre. No, that's the Ghost Rider. But anyways, either way, Darkseid, just when you thought he could not be more powerful, he shows up with the Spectre, bonded with him, and of course he takes out the Justice League very easily, and starts really wrecking shop in their new. Like they have a big fight. They definitely try to keep him occupied while the magic people imbue Superman with this spell so that he can separate them, and maybe even destroy Darkseid. And that's exactly what happens. Look at that. Just really, really cool art, really great stuff. It's fantastic. But funny enough, Darkseid was, and I think Darkseid ends, and that's what he wanted. So the heroes, of course, they're worried about why that happened, but also that there is a break in reality left behind by Darkseid, and the only one that can go in and investigate is Booster Gold, because he is a time traveler. He's been imbued with the tachyons that will allow him to go through that. And when Booster Gold gets to that new world, of course, it is now a world ruled by Darkseid, molded in the image of Darkseid. And that's where the first part of this issue ends. And that's where you should go in, turn your book upside down. So we started here on the normal Earth Prime. You turn it upside down, and then you start reading the other story. This is the Omega story. This is by Scott Snyder and Joshua Williamson, with art by Wes Craig, who is the artist that did this cover that I have. Mike Spicer in colors, letters by Steve Wands. This story tells everything from Darkseid's point of view, and it starts 52 days prior to the events that we just read, which is really cool. I love that whole 52 days continuity. You know, Darkseid has been amassing his forces, but he's got a plan, and his plan is to go merge with the Spectre. Now, we know that's going to happen, but we don't know how that happened. So this is the story that tells you all about that. One thing I love about the physical books is that you get, of course, the advertisements for upcoming books. I'm very excited about this Absolute Batman. And this book actually is also the first appearance of some of those characters from the Absolute Power world. So that's really fun. We get to see Darkseid fight Eclipso, which Eclipso is actually right now a very important villain in the world's finest. So it's really interesting to see him here. Maybe Mark Waid is setting that up for the team. And then just Darkseid keeps going through. He's made this miracle machine, and he goes to the Parliament, the quintessence, to tell them that he's gonna merge with the Spirit. He's just looking for him. This is his quest. He's looking, not the Spirit, the Spectre. He keeps looking for the Spectre. He finally finds him, and then we catch up to where we saw the events on the Alpha story. So yeah, this is how Darkseid got to where he was, and this is where he's now fighting with all the heroes. Of course, from there, we know what happens. Superman is able to separate the Spectre from Darkseid, but then we get to see that this is how Darkseid is making this world in his image. We get to see this absolute Wonder Woman for the first time. Very, very cool. We get to see this absolute Batman, the absolute Superman. Very, very cool stuff. I really, really enjoyed this issue as a big fan of DC. And then, of course, we get to see Booster Gold showing up on this Omega world. And we also get to see, of course, what he ended up seeing, which was Darkseid's legion of superheroes. So very cool, right? So if you turn it this way, then you get to see from the Alpha story point of view, and then of course this way it's from the Omega story point of view. It's very convoluted, it's very weird, but I mean, just look at the cover itself. It's really, really fun stuff. I also picked up this cover, and hopefully I can find I'm gonna go to the other shop that I frequent, and hopefully I can find the normal cover. But it's a cool cover here with Darkseid shooting his Omega beams at the Justice League, specifically the main three. So yeah, there you have it. That's what just happened. So after this, we will spin out into the books that are coming up. Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman will each be getting their own absolute books. You'll also see the normal DC line come back. As you can see, DC's got a lot of books going on, so it's a perfect jumping on point because all the stories, they haven't reset. It's not like they reset everything, but they're definitely adding jumping on points to each and every one of the series. Here you can see Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman getting their absolute books. So this is very exciting stuff. I really, really love it. Like after this, I finally read the new Batman, which kicks off a whole new story. And as you can see, we got the all-in insignia here. That's a lot of fun. And I also picked up, which you probably saw in another video, some of these all-in Daniel St. Pierre covers that are foil, really shiny. It's hard for me to show them on the screen, but yeah, very cool stuff. There you have it. That's what you missed if you didn't read the all-in special. But I'm very excited. I wanted to really talk about both events. So I have a video on a reading guide, which you can go watch. I also have, of course, the Absolute Power recap, and of course the DC All In special. So yeah, a lot of good comics. DC's having a really, really fun week. So if you have read this issue, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Let me know what you're most excited about in this whole Absolute line. And as always, thank you for watching, everyone. Remember to share, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you know when we go live. That is most Saturdays, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned. We have more comic reviews, trailer reactions, TV recaps, all that fun stuff here in the channel. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye-bye.